What's up, guys? Today I am joined by a very special guest. He is a Twitter Spaces legend, Niner Nate. How you doing today, Nate?
There we go.
All right, you good?
Yeah. Your intro video froze, and I was sitting there. I was like, I don't know what to do.
You wanna introduce yourself to the audience?
Oh yeah, for sure. My name's Nate. Niner Nate on Twitter at Niner Nate 49. I've been doing audio and for podcasting and radio for almost 6 years now. It'll be 6 years in May. And I joined the 49er thing last year and been having a blast just talking to 49er fans and talking about this football team that we all love and we've all loved for our whole entire lives. Real quick story about me is I'm a Super Bowl baby. I was born 8 months after the 49ers beat the Broncos 55-10 in 1990. So I'm old, obviously, but at the same time, I've been a 49er fan my whole life. Never rooted for anybody else. Bay Area teams all the way.
Yep. Well, I'm glad to have you on, and let's jump right into it. Starting off with Trey Lance. What did you think of Trey Lance's performance yesterday? And what were some of your takeaways from Trey Lance's performance yesterday?
Well, I was at the game yesterday. I got the flag give out or the pennant give out they gave out yesterday at the game. And the first half it was kind of weird because like it didn't feel like Kyle's game plan was suited for Trey Lance. Kyle thought, I think, and this is obviously me interpreting what Kyle thought, but I think he thought that basically we're just going to run the ball down their throat. We're not going to have to do anything crazy. We can hide everything for the Rams next week because of the fact that this is a terrible run defense. Well, the Texans said, screw that. We're not going to let you run the ball. And Kyle had to get kind of crazy and do stuff I don't think he wanted to do with Trey Lance yet. I think stuff that he's not necessarily comfortable doing with Trey Lance. But when it did and when it worked, I mean, it was beautiful. It was something like we haven't seen with the 49ers. The fact that the ball was thrown downfield, the fact that we finally got to see Deebo Samuel more than just a running back. He got to be a wide receiver more than anything, which is cool to see because it feels like sometimes when they put him in that running back wide receiver role that he's more likely to get hurt. And so I really feel like Trey Lance gives the 49ers the best chance to win going forward. But he's also the most exciting thing for not only the fans, but also Levi Stadium and the future of this 49er team. Because, I don't know about you, but a lot of the time when I'm watching the 49ers and Jimmy Garoppolo throws the ball, I win so hard. It's not even funny because I don't know where that ball's going. I don't know where he's going to put it because, he's just not accurate. He's never been accurate. He's just quick. He has a quick release, and that's been the reason that he's been here. It's really fun to watch Trey Lance, man. Like, I can't wait to watch him against the Rams, hopefully.
I think he's gonna start against Rams personally, but that we'll jump in a topic a little bit later. But I mean, Trey Lance, obviously there was a lot of good, right? Like he obviously could throw an amazing long ball, which you don't really see with Jimmy Garoppolo because Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't like to take shots downfield, and when he does, majority of the time it's probably thrown over the receiver's head, or he's like completely missing the receiver, and usually he just doesn't throw it long. But there was a lot of good. Obviously, Trey Lance can throw a long ball, but Trey Lance extending plays, obviously using his legs like someone throwing on the run, throwing off his back foot. Those are some of those things that you don't see Jimmy Garoppolo do a lot. Because when Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously, he's a pocket quarterback, he's not mobile. He's sitting in the pocket. If everything breaks down, majority of the time he takes a sack. And he doesn't have that, like, oh, let me throw it out of bounds like Brady does or like other quarterbacks in the league. Like, if the pocket is collapsing, I'm going to throw that football out of bounds. He doesn't necessarily have that. Majority of the time he takes a sack, but there's obviously a lot to learn. Trey Lance has a lot to learn, obviously, right? Because he is a rookie, and it's going to take him some time to develop and get better. Like, obviously, the one play that people point out in that game was that play. Obviously, Deebo was wide open, and he missed Deebo. That's a rookie mistake. You just have to expect that from Trey Lance in his second start. That's something that you just got to expect. He hasn't played football in a pretty long time. I mean, his 2020 season at NDSU, it got canceled, obviously. He had that one full season in 2019, but he hasn't played that much football, actual game. Hasn't played that many games of football in a long time due to COVID. But I was pretty satisfied. For his second start, I was pretty satisfied. He got us to win. He played well enough for us to win. I know Trey Lance obviously has a lot to learn, but at the same time, for me personally, I was satisfied. We saw a lot of things from Trey Lance that we just don't see from Jimmy, throwing, throwing the football in tight windows, extending plays. So it was a lot of good that I saw from Trey Lance, but he still has a lot to learn, definitely.
And then the other thing is a lot of people talked a lot about in the draft process that Trey Lance's, his mechanics and the way that he throws the football was kind of slower, more like college, like I guess you could say. And it really feels like now that I've watched him more in the NFL setting versus what I watched after he was drafted from North Dakota State, he's really worked really hard on his release. He's worked hard on his footwork. He's worked hard on a lot of different things to improve and be ready more for the NFL game. And I really feel like, a lot of people compare him to Josh Allen a lot. There's a chance that he's more talented than Josh Allen because I think he's further along than Josh Allen was when he came in the NFL. And I think that just having the ability for a quarterback to throw the ball off schedule, to run outside the pocket and throw the ball, it helps out when, your line isn't always going to be perfect. That's the NFL. A lot of Jimmy Garoppolo people complain that the line isn't perfect for him all the time. And the thing is this is the National Football League. The other guys on the other side of the field get paid a lot of money too to get to the quarterback. It's not always going to be roses and daisies when you go back there to drop the pocket. And the fact is, when Trey Lance went out of the pocket in his own end zone and threw the ball to Ayuk to get a much-needed first down, that showed you everything you really need to know about what this kid can do, what this kid's future could be. He just has to show improvement every single game. And I think as long as he's above average and better than Jimmy, this team is set because at the end of the day, you have George Kittle, who is the best tight end in the NFL. I'm not in for any of that Travis Kelce stuff. Deebo Samuel is the most dynamic weapon in the NFL. More dynamic than any other player we've ever seen. There's no player like Deebo Samuel in this world. He just doesn't exist. And then Brandon Ayuk, when he is running the deep ball routes and the routes more than 10 to 20 yards like he's been, he might be one of the best route runners in the NFL outside of Jamar Chase. And so it's just a bunch of riches. And that's the thing is you get drafted to one of the most talented teams in the NFL. And if you can just play above average football for the next 2 years, you're probably going to the Super Bowl most likely, because Jimmy Garoppolo didn't even play above average football. The defense was so good that he got us to this. He got to go to the Super Bowl. And so if Trey Lance is better than Jimmy Garoppolo, Niner fans are in for a lot of fun. And I think that, he just needs to play. That's the most important thing right now is Trey Lance needs to play.
Yep. Well, we got some people in the chat. Mariah saying what's up. We got Vinny in the
That's
chat.
my co-host right there.
Yep, he's also on the Twitter Spaces a lot. He does a show with Ben Meyerson. Moving on to the next topic. Let's jump right into the next topic. Obviously, you saw the title of this video. To start Jimmy G or Trey Lance versus the Rams. Who would you start personally against the Rams?
Well, here's the thing. So, Jimmy G's not 100%, and I don't believe you should put out a quarterback who's not 100%, no matter what, even if he isn't as good as the other guy. And so playing Jimmy Garoppolo against the Rams would be a death sentence for the 49ers. It'd be a death sentence for Kyle Shanahan, and it'd be a death sentence for what this team can do. I think that Trey Lance gives you the best chance to win because not only the fact is the Rams have never played Trey Lance. They don't know what Trey Lance is exactly, except what they watch on that Houston tape they're getting today. And I really think that if the Niners, someone said it last night on one of the spaces, it's actually pretty interesting. I actually kind of agree with it. If the Niners come out and they throw to start the game, and they throw deep to start the game to kind of make the Rams a little more honest, and then they run the rest of the game, I really think that that's a strategy that could work. I really think that this is a team that the 49ers just own. They've always owned. The Rams haven't beat the 49ers, I think, in 5 meetings now, and this would be a 6th win in a row if they win this game. And I just nothing the Rams have ever done, whether it's Matthew Stafford, whether it's Jalen Ramsey, has ever made me think that Sean McVay is able to outdo Kyle Shanahan. Yet Kyle Shanahan has gotten outcoached by some people, but he's never been outcoached by Sean McVay. And, no Matthew Stafford, no Jalen Ramsey, no whoever the hell's on that team, Von Miller, is going to make me think otherwise until it actually happens. So, yeah, the Rams, if they win and they beat Trey Lance fair and square, sure, okay. But I do not want Jimmy Garoppolo out there unless he's 100%. And that injury is not going to let him be 100% the rest of this season, whether they get to the Super Bowl or not.
I do not want a 50% Jimmy Garoppolo at 50% out there on Sunday. Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously, with that thumb injury, you do not want him playing against Aaron Donald, obviously Von Miller now, Jalen Ramsey. You just don't want him out there. Now, someone says in the chat, it's not like Lance is 100% prepared either. Obviously, Lance is 100% prepared. He's a rookie. He's going to have his struggles if he does play. But at the same time, I do not want Jimmy Garoppolo out there, especially with that thumb injury out there against the Rams, especially when, this is a game where the Niners have to win if they want to make the playoffs. If they want to make the playoffs, this is a must-win game for the Niners. Now, obviously, I know there's the other way the Niners can get
the
the
Saints,
playoffs, the Saints
can lose to the Falcons.
The Saints lose. I think it's also the Eagles lose and the Niners get 6th seed if the Eagles lose also. But it'll be more easier for the Niners if they just get it done against the Rams, and you don't have to worry about the Saints beating the Falcons. Because the Falcons aren't bad, but at the same time, the Falcons aren't a great team either. So it's like one of those things where the Saints, I'm not necessarily afraid of the Saints, of the Falcons if I'm the Saints. I'm not afraid to play the Falcons because the Saints can beat the Falcons, but the Rams are another team who's really
The Rams
good.
are playing to be the 2 seed of the NFL, by the way. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Is the Rams, if they beat the 49ers, they're the number 2 seed in the NFC. And so with that comes with the fact that they don't have to play anywhere else but LA unless they play Green Bay, and they won't play Green Bay to the NFC Championship. And that's a huge boon for them. So they're going to come out and they're going to give it their all because I do not think the Cardinals are going to lose to the Seahawks. I think the Cardinals will have Seattle come in and they'll kick their butt.
Yeah, but I do think the Niners, like I said, I think the Niners should start Trey Lance now. I don't know if Trey Lance can get it done against the Rams because obviously we haven't seen Trey Lance go up against the Rams. And we obviously know that ferocious pass rush that the Rams have and that defense is pretty good. But I do not want Jimmy Garoppolo at 50% out there against the Rams, especially when the Niners have to win this game. If they want to be sure that they make the playoffs, I do not want Jimmy Garoppolo out there at 50%.
And I think that the way Kyle Shanahan has talked the last couple of weeks is really important. Kyle Shanahan has continuously, said we're in playoff mode right now. This is playoff mode football. And I think that that's good for Trey Lance because Trey Lance is playing on a team that's probably going to be in the playoffs every single year of his rookie contract, most likely. This is a football team that is well coached. It's well drafted. And they always should find a way to be in the playoffs unless something goes horribly, horribly wrong. And so I think that Trey Lance getting this kind of experience, to go into a playoff scenario, playoffs type of atmosphere and win football games is huge for his development as well. And then I see that question. I think there's always a chance with the top 5. The problem with top 5 is they have to do something that's more than just win football games. They have to be extraordinary. They have to win football games specifically only because of their play. And that's something that Josh Allen did one year and then didn't do again. I don't even think Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback right now. Dak Prescott would be one. Mahomes would be one. I do think that there is some Mahomes in Trey Lance, but the thing is it's so early to really tell. It's a long ways away before we're able to say anything like that. But hey, ask me in another year after he's played a whole nother season, then maybe we can have that conversation.
I mean, for me personally, I don't know about top 5, right? Because obviously the top 5 is pretty tough because those are elite guys. Like, Mahomes, obviously Mahomes is in the top 5. And like being in the top 5 is not just like you said, it's not just winning football games. Like you're never going to say, oh, because Mac Jones win football game. Obviously he's winning football games this year. Like you're never going to say Mac Jones this year is a top 5 quarterback because he's winning football games, or Jimmy Garoppolo is a top 5 quarterback because he's winning football games for us. No, you're not going to say that. But the guys who are in the top 5 are like guys like Russell Wilson, guys like Mahomes, who are just straight up extraordinary. Guys like Wilson, who like single-handedly take the Seahawks to the playoffs and win 10 plus games every year. Obviously, he did that the last couple of seasons. But to say that Trey Lance is top 5, to say that he has the potential to be top 5, I mean, that's kind of tough.
We'll see what happens. That's a wait and see question. You can't grade a rookie quarterback off of 2 starts. It's just too hard.
Vinny also said, doesn't make sense to put out a player that has been reported will need postseason surgery. Tells you everything you need to know about Kyle. If he starts and they lose, wouldn't deserve playoff spot.
Do not play Jimmy Garoppolo. That would be the worst case scenario.
And we even saw last year, Jimmy Garoppolo with that ankle injury. Like, we saw what he did against Miami. We saw what he did against Miami through 2 interceptions. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo hurt is not good.
We saw what he did against Tennessee. I mean, we saw what he did against Tennessee when he was hurt and he was going off adrenaline. First play comes out and throws a ball right to Amani Hooker. Like, come on, man. Like, this Jimmy Garoppolo has done enough damage for one season. Can we just be done with him and not think about him? Let's move on to the future. If we don't make the playoffs, we don't make the playoffs. But at least the future of the franchise got reps in meaningful games to go win football games.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next topic, Ambry Thomas. Let's talk about Ambry Thomas a little bit. Ambry Thomas should have had the interception yesterday. That would have been his first career interception in the NFL.
Absolutely.
But what's your thoughts on Ambry Thomas? How do you think he's playing? How do you think he played on Sunday?
So let's go a little preamble with Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas is coming off a season where he didn't play football. That's like the number one thing. Didn't play any football. And so there was always going to be growing pains and ways he learned to play in the NFL. And we saw it in the preseason game. Ambry Thomas got burned a lot in the preseason game. I think that him getting reps and learning how to play in the NFL in practice and learning how to play learning how to play corner in the NFL is a very different thing. Think about this. And this is the point I make to everybody. In the NFL, it is 2 feet in for a catch. In the NCAA, it's 1 foot in. And so that's a whole different world for not only wide receivers, but also for corners. That's why wide receivers don't usually go off their first year till recently when everyone seems to go off. And corners rarely ever do. And so now Ambry playing, you're seeing it. Every single week he's in a better position. He's probably going to pick off Stafford. If I had to bet right now, he's going to pick off Stafford. I'm really beginning to think that they drafted a good corner. And I think that that's good for the 49ers because they're going to sign Verrett to a short-term, like little nothing deal because they can and he likes them. Mosley's signed for the next 2 years, I'm pretty sure. Mosley's your number 1 corner. If Ambry's decent, you can put Ambry out there. You can always, and it saves you a little bit of money and it allows you maybe to draft another corner for a depth guy just because you've had so many injuries at corner. But I mean, Ambry Thomas is showing improvement every single week. And I think he's decent. And I think that going into next year, he'll be even better. And that's very good for the 49ers because corner's been the weakest position. So, I mean, if Mosley comes back this week, it should be Mosley and Ambry. And you live with, if Cooper Kupp beats Ambry Thomas, you live with it. But he deserves those reps right now. And I think that he deserves to improve in the NFL. And I think that he deserves the cornerback job until they either get someone in free agency or they draft someone high to replace him.
I mean, Ambry Thomas, he played pretty good against the Texans. I mean, he's getting better every week, and that's all you want from pretty much any player on your team, right? If I'm a coach or I'm a GM or whatever, if I'm a coach or GM, all I want is my players to get better week by week and improve. And that's what Ambry Thomas has been doing. Now, obviously, he's pretty much been in position pretty much every time he's been starting. He's been in position.
Yeah.
He's just not that good at attacking the ball. When the ball is up in the air, either he gets mauled, something of that sort happens. But this week he almost had an interception, and every single week he's been improving, which is a good sign. And if he plays pretty much for the remainder of the season and he gets to play against LA, if Emmanuel Mosley comes back and he gets to play, I think he'll be more prepared and more ready for next year. And I think he'll be a pretty solid corner for the Niners next year, especially since he's getting this experience.
I think the ball skills will come in time. I really do. I think one thing I want to mention too, I was thinking about this the other day. Trevon Diggs has 11 interceptions, right? That's the most by any corner. It's more than most teams in the NFL right now, right? But Trevon Diggs has allowed 1,000 yards in coverage. So, I mean, part of your game can be there and the other can't. But right now, I mean, Trevon Diggs was hyped to be the best corner in the NFL. And then you look at how many yards he's allowed in coverage. I don't think that's true. And so learning both how to cover and how to make interceptions is very important for an NFL corner. And that's one of the things that made Richard Sherman so good. The guy could cover and he got interceptions. And so, that's going to take time. And I think it'll come in time. I think he'll be fine. I think that it's good that he got these reps towards the end of the season because, there's no point in playing Josh Norman once Mosley comes back.
No, Fernando also said Ambry Thomas and Rams Mosley should start over Josh Norman. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, Ambry Thomas has been getting better. Josh Norman, for whatever reason, Josh Norman is a corner, and that's his job, is to cover a receiver. And the one thing he just cannot do is cover. He can't cover a receiver. That's the last thing that he can do. That's the last thing. He's just not good at coverage.
He's not Josh Norman anymore. Keep in mind, Josh Norman, when he was with the Carolina Panthers and even when he was with the Washington football team back when they were a different name, he was really good. And so this is the way of the NFL. You can't be old at corner. It just doesn't happen. You have to stay young. That's why everyone's always drafting corners. There's always a corner, round table. And that's why generally corners don't get paid as much because of the fact is that you're always drafting another one because if they get old, they lose the skills. It's not like a skill that stays around forever like quarterback does with Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm. Well, moving on to the next topic. We already talked about who we think should start. But now I ask you the question, can Trey beat the Rams?
Yeah, I think so. I made a joke on Twitter that I guess it kind of blew up. I said if Nick Mullins can beat the Rams, so can Trey Lance, and I think that that's more of a testament to the scheme that Kyle Shanahan runs and the fact that Kyle owns Sean McVay. Sean McVay is his little child. He rocks the bed every night and puts him to sleep and tucks him in. Sean McVay has never proven that he's better than Kyle Shanahan, and until he proves that, I'm not going to believe otherwise. There's nothing about Trey Lance's game that scares me more than it would scare me if it was Jimmy Garoppolo. And, okay, so they say they know they're going to run. Well, now we have a quarterback that can throw the ball downfield. So the 49ers become a lot less one-dimensional, which has been their problem with Jimmy Garoppolo the whole time he's been here. Is they're very one-dimensional. Everyone knows they're going to run the ball and short little passes and have the yak do the job for them. And Trey Lance has shown that he can put the ball down the field. And I think that's what we've all wanted for so long. And I don't think the Rams are ready for that.
I mean, it's tough, right? Because obviously Trey Lance is a rookie. And I mean, we obviously Kyle owns McVay's number. He's had McVay's number for the last couple of seasons. I don't think the Rams have won. I think the last 5, they haven't beat the Niners in the last 4 or 5 matchups or last meetings. But it's kind of tough, right? Because Trey's obviously a rookie. We obviously know that pass rush. But my biggest concern for this game is, can Trey get the ball out quick enough? And obviously we know Trey has the arm. He can extend plays. But can Trey get the ball out quick enough? And I don't know if he can do that, honestly. And I'm a huge believer of Trey. But at the same time, Kyle really has to have a good game plan coming into the game. And Trey has to get the ball out quick enough. Because you're not going to have 5-6 seconds against Aaron Donald and Von Miller. You're just not. You're not going to have that much time.
Can you put that comment that someone just made, we won by 21 in the thing real quick? The reason we won by 21 is because Stafford threw 2 straight interceptions. That's why we won by 21. We didn't win because of Jimmy Garoppolo. If another quarterback throws 2 interceptions, the game was over already.
The interception definitely helped. The interception definitely helped. Jimmy Garoppolo, for whatever reason, Jimmy Garoppolo plays relatively well against the Rams, but at the same time, Jimmy Garoppolo was a part of the reason we won against the Rams, but at the same time, the defense definitely helped. The run game definitely helped, and Jimmy Garoppolo played well enough. Just how we say it all the time. The games that we win with Jimmy Garoppolo plays well enough for us to win, and the run game and the defense help him out a lot. It's not like I'm not gonna say Jimmy Garoppolo. The games that Jimmy Garoppolo straight up sucks, like the Titans game and the Seattle game, we're gonna be like Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. He didn't play well. But the games that we do win and Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have an interception, especially against the Rams game on Monday Night Football, Jimmy Garoppolo played well enough for us to win. He didn't win us the game single-handedly, because we know Jimmy Garoppolo is completely incapable of doing that. He's not Russell Wilson. He's not an elite quarterback. But at the same time, Jimmy Garoppolo played well enough for us to win. And we say it all the time, Jimmy Garoppolo plays well enough for us to win. So, and when he doesn't throw an interception, he doesn't put us in a situation to lose. So, Jimmy
Hey, it's
Garoppolo, I
better.
feel like,
It's better than it could be, right? Like, as long as you're not in a
mhm,
position to lose, Kyle Shanahan should be able to find a way to
yeah.
win. That's with the way this team's built, and that's been the biggest problem is Jimmy Garoppolo's put them in bad positions, and that's why they're in this position where they have to win on Sunday, and that's the worst part.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, obviously anything can happen. If Kyle Shanahan has an amazing game plan going in and Trey Lance gets the ball out quicker, I think we have a chance. But at the same time, I'm not going to bet on the Niners and Trey Lance beating the Rams because, like I said, like we saw it, like Trey Lance obviously the long ball, extending plays, throwing on the run, throwing off his back foot. Those are amazing things. We don't see Jimmy Garoppolo do that ever. But also, like people are saying, also on the commentators are saying it, the broadcasters are saying it. Jimmy Garoppolo gets the ball out quick. Trey Lance takes some time. His first read isn't there. He takes some time. So can Trey Lance get the ball out fast enough? Can we run the football effectively now, right? Because also taking into consideration that the Rams have played us, and the Rams know that we like to run the football, especially against the Rams. We love running the football against the Rams. That's one of the biggest reasons we've won and had so much success against the Rams for the last couple of years because we run the football down their throats, and then Jimmy Garoppolo makes enough throws and enough plays for us to win. But we love to run the football against the Rams. So can we run the football well enough against the Rams? Can Trey Lance get the ball out fast enough for us to win this game? I'm not sure, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to count him out, but I'm not going to bet on him beating the Rams.
I mean, I think that Kyle has some stuff up his sleeve that he's ready for this game. I trust Kyle Shanahan to find a way to win this game. That's my thing.
Well, I sure hope so because I definitely want to see the Niners in the playoffs because it would just be disappointing not seeing the Niners in the playoffs because obviously we don't have any
Absolutely.
first-round draft picks or anything like that.
I agree.
And, last year, obviously, the offseason, we were like, obviously, with the trade and the 12th overall pick, we had something to look forward to in the offseason. This year, it's like, okay, draft,
We're
but
just
we
gonna
don't
sit
have a
around and
first
wait.
round. Yeah, we don't have a first-round draft pick. We don't have a second-round draft pick. We got to wait to second day of the draft, third-round pick to see who we get. So it's not anything you're looking forward to in the offseason.
We don't
Not
have a
necessarily
second
looking
round
forward
pick.
to. We don't have a
We don't
second-round
have a
pick. We
second
have a
round.
third. I think we have a third only.
I think we have a.
I don't know
I think we have a second. I'm pretty sure we have a second and a third. I'm pretty sure. Might be wrong.
Yeah. Who knows? But I got to double check that. But there's not that much you're looking forward to if you're a Niners fan, especially in the offseason. So hopefully the Niners do get it done, and hopefully the Niners do win this game because we definitely want to see the Niners in the playoffs. But speaking of playoffs, let's talk about who is the more favorable matchup, the Buccaneers or the Rams? Because if the Niners win and they get the 6th seed, I think they're going to be playing the Buccaneers or the Rams. I forgot who they're playing, but I know these are the two teams of the Niners. If they do make it to the playoffs, these are the two teams that they would have a possibility of facing, not the Cowboys, not the Cardinals. So who would you rather face? Who do you prefer to face in the first round of the playoffs, the Buccaneers or the Rams?
There's good arguments for both sides, actually. I've been thinking about this a lot. A lot of people say it's very hard to beat a team 3 times, and I don't. There's actually some statistics behind it that say that it's not. If you beat a team 3 times, you're just better, right? And so playing the Rams again is not necessarily something I'm against. The Bucs are interesting because they're so just decimated with injuries at this point. Their cornerbacks are garbage. They can't stop anybody. With Trey Lance, you're going to throw the ball a lot more. They're going to stop the run, which is the one thing I worry about. The other thing about them is they don't have Antonio Brown. He's gone. And they don't have Chris Godwin. I think he's out for this season, or at least to the Super Bowl or something like that. You would only have to worry about Mike Evans and Scotty Miller. And if we can't stop Scotty Miller, then we have a problem. The Mike Evans thing would be interesting. But if Jimmy Ward is there, if Tart is there, I think that they can find a way to stop Mike Evans. The Bucs would probably be a more favorable game just because I don't think that team is the team that everyone thinks they are right now. I just don't think they're good enough to win a Super Bowl this year. I think it's going to be Green Bay, Kansas City. And I think that's set in stone and was set in stone weeks ago.
Roger said, now we don't have faith in Trey. Come on, I'm more optimistic with Trey than Jimmy. I mean, I'm a huge Trey fan, right? And then if you've seen the channel, I'm a huge Trey fan. But at the same time, we haven't seen Trey go up against the Rams. So we don't know what to expect. Obviously, we know we like to run the football. But at the same time, we've seen us beat the Rams with Jimmy Garoppolo. We just haven't seen us beat the Rams with Trey. So I don't know what to expect. What's going to be Kyle's game plan for Sunday? So there's a lot that we haven't seen for this Sunday. So I am optimistic, but at the same time, I'm not betting on Trey Lance beating the Rams. I'm not 100% confident that we can beat the Rams with Trey Lance, but I am definitely optimistic. And Richard said we have a second Thank you. Thank you for letting us. Thank you for letting us know. Because if we do have
Good
a
old
second,
Richard McDonald.
if we do have a second, we can get a corner. Hopefully, we invest in the cornerback position. Because, like, I mean, there's so many teams around the league, right, that invest in the cornerback position and take the cornerback position seriously. Like, you look at the Browns, Greg Newsome, Denzel Ward, like, they are pretty loaded at corner. Greedy Williams. You look at, like, the Packers, Jair Alexander, Kevin King, who's all right, but they got some guys also over there. But there are a lot of teams in the league that value the cornerback position, and for whatever reason, the Niners necessarily don't value the cornerback position as much as the other teams. So hopefully with that second round pick, they do target a cornerback.
Yeah.
For now, says I think the Stafford will throw another 2 picks. Watch when we play them again. Stafford hasn't looked good. Stafford straight up hasn't looked good the last couple.
He's thrown 7 interceptions in 3 games. So
he hasn't looked good.
The last 7 games, he's thrown 7 interceptions. So hopefully that continues against us, and one of them's to Ambry. That's all I care about. Get one to Ambry.
I mean, hopefully that continues with us. I don't know. I don't really care who it goes to, but hopefully we do get an interception. Matthew Stafford continues his streak of interceptions. Matthew Stafford just hasn't been looking. I talked about my show yesterday. I don't know if you watch ESPN, but Dan Orlovsky talks about Matthew Stafford. It's like, it doesn't matter, Matthew Stafford, and he keeps, giving excuses to Matthew Stafford. But Matthew Stafford has been turning the football over a lot. And it's not even like it's him taking risks. It's him. Even yesterday, if you watched, like, on 1 3rd down, throws it to Chuck Clark. Straight up to Chuck Clark, throws it to Chuck Clark for a pick 6. Like, Matthew Stafford hasn't looked good. He hasn't been the same Matthew Stafford that we saw in the beginning of the season, like against the Buccaneers. And if Matthew Stafford continues to play like this, it's not gonna be easy for the Rams in the playoffs. Because if Matthew Stafford keeps turning the football over, what's gonna happen in the playoffs? Like, I mean, if I'm a Rams fan, I'm concerned about the playoffs, because if Matthew Stafford continues to play like this, you're not making it to Super Bowl. You're not making it to Super Bowl if Matthew Stafford continues to play like this. But moving back to the question, Buccaneers or Rams? This is a tough. No, I know you already answered it.
Okay, sorry. I thought you were asking me. My bad.
No, I know you already answered it, but it's kind of tough, right? Because we obviously know with the Buccaneers and their injuries, but at the same time, one thing I've learned is to never go up against Tom Brady. Like, you never want to bet against Tom Brady in the playoffs. You never want to go and see Tom Brady, especially in the first round of the playoffs. You never want to see it. You never want to go up against Brady in the playoffs. So I'm going to say the Buccaneers. Now, the reason I'm going to say the Buccaneers is because obviously they have those. Not the Buccaneers. I mean the Rams. The Rams. I would rather play the Rams. I know people are saying the Buccaneers, obviously because of their injuries, but I'm going to say the Rams. Mainly because I will never want to play Brady in the playoffs. I don't care what the circumstances. They still have a good offensive line. They still have a great offensive line. Now, obviously, Antonio Brown and that loss. We'll see what happens with Mike Evans, but I just don't. I will never in any circumstance want to play Brady, especially in the first round of the playoffs, because Brady, you could beat Brady in the regular season. Brady sometimes is vulnerable in some games in the regular season, but playoff time, Brady flips the switch, and Brady's another level and elevates his game and plays at a higher level in the playoffs than he does in the regular season. And I get all the injuries and all that, but at the same time, the Bucs defensive line is also good. And what do the Niners like to do? Run the football. The Niners like to run the football. And if that Bucs defense and that Bucs defensive line has been really good against the run. It's been good against the run last year. It's good against the run this year. So the Niners can't run the football effectively. Then you're relying on Trey Lance. And I mean, I'm a huge believer in Trey Lance, but at the same time, going up against Brady, obviously in the playoffs, it's going to be tough for Trey Lance. Going up against Brady in the playoffs, we obviously know what Brady can do. It's going to be tough going up against Brady, especially in the playoffs. So I'll choose the Rams, mainly because we've beaten the Rams before. Now, obviously, it'll be interesting to see what we'll do with Trey Lance, but we've beaten the Rams before. Kyle Shanahan's had McVay's number for the last couple of years. So I'm going to say the Rams mainly because we've beaten the Rams before, and we've seen that we can run the football on them effectively. But I'm definitely going to be curious and excited to see what we're going to do with Trey Lance this week against the Rams. People saying the Buccaneers in the chat. Everybody's saying the Buccaneers. I only say the Buccaneers. I would rather play them in the first round if they have to travel. I would rather they get out of the way first. Obviously, we want the Buccaneers to be out of the playoffs, but the Buccaneers could also eliminate us from the playoffs, or should I say Tom Brady could eliminate us from the playoffs. So, I mean, both of these are tough decisions, but I would rather play the Rams.
I think Richard has a point. Traveling out to Tampa, and staying out there and staying in that time zone through the week to get to your next playoff game. I think that's an interesting thought because they've done so well at like not coming back to San Francisco and then going somewhere and then going to San Francisco. They've done a really good job about that. And so that's an interesting point.
That's definitely a good point. Corey Davis says, hello, Amin the Dream. If you haven't checked out Corey's channel, go do so. He does his weekly game picks over there. So go. The AirPods fell out. Go check out Corey's channel if you haven't already. Go hit him with the sub. Go show him some love. Moving on to the next topic. We have some injury. We have some guys on the COVID list this week. The Niners haven't been hit with COVID all season, and this was the first time, obviously all around the league, teams have been hit with COVID, but this is the first time that the Niners players have gone hit with COVID this season. So four players that were put on the COVID list today were Dante Johnson, K'Wan Williams, who's obviously a starter, when healthy, and then Raheem Mostert, who obviously had his surgery in the beginning of the year. But the biggest one is Jimmy Ward. So my question to you is, if Jimmy Ward can't go on Sunday, how big of a loss is that for the 49ers?
Well, first of all, I think he's going to go because the 49ers are all vaccinated. And if by the CDC guidelines, if you sit out for 5 days and you don't have COVID after 5 days, you can play again. 5 days would be Friday. He would be able to play on Sunday, ideally. But if without Jimmy Ward, this team doesn't work. Jimmy Ward helps Ambry Thomas, get through some of the bad reps, especially if Mostert's not back and they have to play Norman. That's not good because Cooper Kupp is a monster. There's so many things that could be bad about that, but I think that we will be okay. The fact that they were diagnosed with COVID today, I think Mitch Wisnowski was actually back, and he was diagnosed on Monday, and Mitch Wisnowski played yesterday. So I wouldn't be too worried about it because of the new CDC guidelines. It being 5 days helps the 49ers out immensely, but if Jimmy Ward can't play, that's awful. That's terrible because I don't want to see what this team looks like without Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward is one of the most important players on the 49ers right now.
Yeah, if Jimmy Ward can't lace up on Sunday, it's a huge loss for the 49ers. Especially we'll jump into Trent Williams and his elbow sprain. But without Jimmy Ward is a leader on this team. Obviously, he helps guys like Ambry Thomas out every Sunday. But we saw what happened last time when Jimmy Ward was out on the field. He had 2 interceptions against the Rams. So without Jimmy Ward, obviously you have to either play Hufanga out there, who's not as good at coverage than Jimmy Ward compared to Jimmy Ward. But without Jimmy Ward, this team just straight up isn't the same, and you won't have a guy out there who's helping Ambry Thomas or Emmanuel Mosley out there. And Jimmy Ward, obviously, we saw what he did last time against the Rams. So without Jimmy Ward, that's a huge loss for the 49ers if he can't lace up on Sunday.
Yeah, it'd be awful. Absolutely terrible.
Moving on, if you haven't heard already, Trent Williams has an elbow sprain. They will take a look at it. They will diagnose it week by week, and they will check. Day by day. They will check it day by day, and we will get an update probably tomorrow or Wednesday. But if Trent Williams can't go against the Rams, how big of a loss is that?
That's huge. That's Trey Lance's, his whole side. That side's going to get demolished, and I think the Rams will specifically send Donald that way to kill Trey Lance that way. So, that's huge. That's so huge. I think he'll be okay. I really do. I think that he'll tough it out and play. But if he can't play, that's 2 of the most important injuries right there, Trent Williams and Jimmy Ward. If you can't have those guys against the Rams, then you can kiss the playoffs goodbye.
Trent Williams, obviously Jimmy Ward is a huge loss, but Trent Williams is a huge player on the offense. He's a huge, key, important guy for this offense. And Trent Williams is the best player on the offensive line. We obviously know that. Trent Williams is the best player on the offensive line. You could argue he's the best offensive lineman in football. Some people even say he's the best player in the NFL. Trent Williams is a huge player for this team. And without Trent Williams, like you said, pretty much they can kiss the playoffs goodbye. Because without Trent Williams, that Rams pass rush is going to get after us. That Rams pass rush is straight up going to get after us, and Trey Lance, it's not going to be pretty without Trey Lance. Trent Williams has been dominating all season. He's been playing at a high level. PFF has him as the highest graded offensive lineman. So without Trent Williams out there, you could pretty much kiss the playoffs goodbye.
Absolutely. I think that it's integral for Trey Lance to not be running for his life in a playoff game. Like, that's not good. That's the problem with Justin Fields. That guy runs for his life every single day, and it's hurting his talent and just his play. I mean, he's struggling because of the fact that he has no line. He has no production at all.
Yep. And shout out Richard McDonald. Go check him out on Twitter. Go hit him with a follow on Twitter. He always pops up on my live streams and, supports the channel, supports me on Twitter. So go follow him on Twitter if you haven't already. Go show him some love on Twitter also.
He's good people.
Yep. Well, that basically wraps up the show. That's all I got for you guys tonight. If you haven't already, go follow Nate on Twitter. The link is in the description. And go check out his podcast, Niner Nate Podcast. Both the links are in the description. Spotify, also your Google, whatever you listen to wherever you listen to your podcast, the links are in the description. So go check out 908 Podcast. Anything you want to tell them about your podcast?
It's called the 908's Nonsense. It's basically just I go on every week and talk about the 49ers. I like to joke around that I'm the conductor of the 49ers hype train, and I try to get people hype as they can be without being too unrealistic, but at the same time, if you want a more positive 49ers podcast, that's the best way to go, because I might be the most positive person on Twitter when it comes to this team, outside of talking about Jimmy Garoppolo, because I'm not positive about him at all. So
yeah, I see that on Twitter Spaces. You're like, Jimmy Garoppolo this, Jimmy Garoppolo that. I'm like, okay, like this dude,
he's gonna cost
he really
us
doesn't
something.
like Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay,
I do not.
Yep. Well, go check out Nate's podcast. If you haven't already, go sub to my channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. We're like 50 something subscribers away from 600 subscribers. So if you haven't already, go subscribe to my channel. Hit this video with a like. I appreciate you for joining me, Nate. It was my pleasure and honor to talk some football with you. Brianna said Jalen Moore replaced. Man, I completely forgot about Jalen Moore. Man.
Because Tom Compton's outplayed him.
That makes no sense, but I mean, I thought Jalen Moore was pretty solid for the first when he was playing. I thought he was pretty solid, but obviously they decided to take Tom Compton over and choose Tom Compton over Jalen Moore. But that basically wraps up the show. I appreciate you for joining me, Nate. We will definitely do this sometime down the road. I appreciate everybody for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Take it easy.